I'm Lizzie Harrison for Card Player TV, here today with the last bracelet winner before the main event bracelet winner of 2008, Maatt Graham. Congratulations, Maatt.
Thank you.
So you took down the $1,500 limit event. It was a shootout tournament. For some of our viewers who might not understand, can you explain that?
Basically, in a regular tournament, the tables recombine as you go.
Right.
All the way to the final table. But in a shootout, there's individual tables, and each table plays down to one winner, and each winner goes on to the next round. So it's more like a bracket tournament sort of thing. Yeah.
So how do you have to change up your style when you're playing a tournament like this? Obviously, second doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, you have to try to get all the chips at your table, so you can't be quite as patient early on. You need to accumulate. And
is there a lot of action going on at these tables?
Right at the beginning, no, but when the blinds get up to the medium level, everybody's going nuts trying to get the chips because, you know, it doesn't matter if you finish 9th or 3rd. It doesn't make a difference at all. So,
is it tougher to be aggressive when you are playing in a limit tournament as opposed to no limit where you can just shove it all in? Like, how does that change the dynamic?
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand limit that well, and they just think, oh, it's just one more big blind to call. So they defend their blinds way too loose, so it's kind of hard to steal sometimes. Like at my second table, I had a guy who, when we were three-handed for about 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, and this guy never once the whole time folded to my button raise when he was in the big blind.
For 3 hours, he called
every time
because he looks at it. Oh, it's a min raise, it's nothing, but it's a limit tournament.
Right. There's also no implied odds. You can't get all my chips if you hit. So. I'm making bad calls, but that's okay. It worked out.
So did you have a lot of experience with limit hold'em prior to this tournament?
I haven't played limit in probably 2 years or so.
It's like what everybody says that I
When I first started playing poker, I started playing 5, 10, and 10, 20 limit. Okay. Not when I first started, but when I was just starting to build a little bit of bankroll, that's where I built was those games. But ever since then, I've just been playing no limits. But, I mean, it's just a hold'em, so.
Right. So tell me a bit about the final table.
Well, contrary to what I said about accumulating chips early, I didn't do that at all. I had a start stack. Well, within 30 minutes, I had lost a third of my chips. I started with 300,000, I had 200,000, so I'm just thinking, oh my God, don't get 9th here. Because, you know, 9th was ridiculous. It was only $7,000 when everybody else got 5,000. You get 2,000 extra dollars than if you had not made the final table, so it's just ridiculous to make a final table at the World Series and only get $7,000. But I was in danger of doing it, but so I managed to get back up to 3 or 4 hundred,000, and just hovered around there for hours. You know, we played from 10 until like 7 in the morning, so hours and hours. I was just right around a starting stack, or maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less. And John Rivera was just killing everybody. He was knocking people out left and right, and I just sat there and waited and waited, and I just watched every other seat go empty, and then all of a sudden I'm heads up with only like 400,000 chips to his 2.3 million.
So did you feel like David and Goliath a little bit?
No, because I still had over 10 big bets, so I still
and you were confident in your
could
abilities,
play,
obviously.
And I just had to hope that things went my way, and you know, we played heads up for a long time.
Right.
Like, I came back and had a chip lead, and then he came back again, and I was back down to like 300,000 or 400,000.
Really?
So I'm like, oh,
how do you handle swings like that emotionally? How do you stay focused? It's late at night.
Well, in limit,
I'm sure he was egging you on a little bit.
His rail was.
His rail was.
His rail was. They were getting a little obnoxious. You know, at first they were just cheering for him, and then they started taking jabs at me. So, you know.
How do you just shut all that out and focus?
I didn't, actually. This guy kept, every time Balan won a pot, he was like, teabagged.
It's not appropriate.
After about 3 or 4 times, I just turned and I told him, you want to say that one more time? And he shut up, and that was it.
That's really funny.
You know, I was building up in my anger inside. I didn't care at first. It didn't matter. I was just focusing.
You were trying to ignore it.
And it just built up, and then it came out. And you know,
but they shut their mouths at that point?
Yeah.
To a point. Simmer down a little bit.
They're good. They were still cheering for him, which is
that's fine,
totally fine with that. Yeah.
They just can't bash you.
Yeah. Every single pot, you know. Yeah.
No,
so.
I understand. So tell me about the final time when you took the chip lead.
There were 2 hands where I 3-bet out of the big blind to his button raise with ace king, and I was lucky enough to hit an ace. No, a king one time and an ace the other time, and then I bet all streets and got called to the river. So those
That's
are huge
nice.
pots
Right.
once the blinds get up. When you go to the river, that's a big swing. So those are the two pots, and then I can't remember the others. But
It's
there
okay.
were several small pots, and then all of a sudden, I can't remember the hands. At the end of this hand, he was down to a 25 chip, which was the small blind,
Wow.
and he had something. He doubled there, so he had 50,000. And then the next hand, I obviously called blind.
Right.
I flipped my hand. I'm like, oh, ace jack suited, and he had queen 7, and
Your hand held up and you won a
ace
bracelet.
5 won it. Yep.
So tell me about the moment when the last card was out. You knew you had won.
I was
really
pretty
exciting,
thrilled.
right?
Yeah, like it wasn't even registering with me that I was playing for a bracelet. I was just playing poker at that point. But as soon as the river card hit and I realized I won, I had a couple friends who stayed and watched for like 7 hours till 7:30 in the morning. Really appreciated that. I just turned them, high fives.
Did you go to sleep
Hugs
or did
and
you go out?
everything. I went to sleep.
You went to sleep.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah, 7:30 in the morning.
Clubs aren't open. Well, some of them might
they
be.
are.
I'm not sure.
But what was it? Oh, on day 1, I played from 12 until 2:30 in the morning, and I went to court at 7:30 the next morning.
Yeah.
I went to my friend's house at 4 in the morning, left for court. It was a big deal. I was just there for support.
Okay.
And so I basically got 2 hours sleep. I was at court until 11:30 noon, headed straight to the Rio at 2, and played from 2 until 10. 9, my table lasted longer than any other table, and we got an hour break, and then I played from 10 until 7:30. So
Wow.
there's no way I was going out. I was so tired. I was just going on adrenaline to that point. So.
Well, congratulations on your first bracelet. Hopefully we can
Thank
talk to you about bracelet number 2 when the main event lines up.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Thank you very much, Matt, for coming up.
All right, thank you.
Lizzie Harrison with Maatt Graham for Card Player TV.